Welcome. It's Added Beauty. I'm Dana. Let's talk about it. So today, today is one of those days in some ways and a really great day in others. How was your day? So for me, let's see. Started off busy, 6:45 like usual in the morning, kind of getting stuff going in the OR. Yesterday was a crazy day. We had actually a lockdown of our hospital because some prisoner was able to escape from the ED. And it turned into, 4 or 5 hour fiesta fandango to catch the guy. But thankfully everybody was safe. It was just one of those days where a lot of things were popping and the staff were like, yo, is it like a full moon or what's happening? But we got through it. Started off this morning just kind of like checking in with the staff to ask them if they were okay, because, these kind of things can be stressful and kind of nerve-wracking, I guess, right? Because for a while, not for very long, but for a while, I think when we were first learning this was happening, we weren't sure if he was in the hospital or out. And thankfully he was out, but it doesn't mean that you don't still feel the tension about the thing. And there's just a lot of things going on. I feel accomplished today and sad and happy. It was like a full range. I wouldn't say a roller coaster, but a full range of emotions. Some of it was just a regular work day. I also got my performance evaluation today and it didn't go as well as it could. And that was frustrating. And it's not because, it's because I know what went into it going that way. And it's, frustrating, but at the same time motivating. So, if you are living with microaggressions and macroaggressions and all kinds of things, but you would maybe try to find ways to work around stuff a little bit longer, and just deal with it. I think sometimes God has a way of pushing you to say, nah, that's not for you, sis. You deserve better than that. And it's been really interesting because as I've been going through this last week that's been really kind of funky, I have also been having some of my most creative moments and light bulb moments and moments of really feeling very supported by God, even if not supported so much by a couple of the people, that I have to encounter on a regular basis. My family is very supportive. My kids are great. And, I have really good close friends, which is awesome, and people that believe in me. And thankfully, I believe in myself too. I know what my worth is. I know what my work is that I've put in too. And so, I'm not going to let someone keep me down or bring me down that way. And I feel good about that, right? I also feel proactive because I got through all the things at work today. Also, there was a short window of doing performance evaluations because, it's that time, obviously, if I got mine, right? And I had, probably 80 employees that I needed to do evals on in a very short window of time. We all got the same window, whether you had 5 employees or whether you had 40 or whether you had 80. And so I had to bang them out, and I did. Today was the deadline. I got them done, and I felt good about that. I was looking forward to this event that happened tonight and will continue tomorrow. So I am participating in, it's calling it like a kingdom building event. And so it's not just like going and praying or that kind of a thing. It's meant to be more action forward. Like, you know how people are paying for coaches, and maybe you get Zoom sessions, or maybe if you're paying a high dollar, you might get in-person session, or personal calls or whatever it is. But in this case, the organization that's having this function on short notice decided to do an event in person. They rented a room in a, like a hall, not a hall. I'm sorry. It's in the hotel, right? So one of the convention rooms in a hotel, not the convention center, but like a convention room in a hotel. And it's actually near Disneyland. It's like right across the street from Disneyland, a nice hotel. And tonight was a lot of trying to help people who didn't already have their idea or their vision. What would their God idea be? What would their God vision be that would become an income producing thing for everybody? So in this case, the workshop is about helping you to sharpen your focus, and also helping you to get off your butt and go do it, right? So it's not just pep rally, it's also bring your laptop, bring your notebook. Let's think about it, let's plot it out, but also you're gonna leave here by tomorrow night with like a working website, the direction that you're going in. Maybe you're also incorporated. I'm already incorporated, so, but those are some of the things that they're saying that they're going to help people get accomplished. So it's gonna be more outcome based than theory, right? So, which is good, right? Because at this point, you gotta do it, you gotta go. And so all the things that have been happening in my life, at work anyway, are lining up with saying it's time for me to move on to bigger and better, and don't get comfortable, because I got stuff for you to do, and it's gonna happen somewhere else, and I'm all in. Let's do that. Let's go for it, because you've been telling me and I'm listening, so let's do it. And then right as all of that's happening, this opportunity came up, and it's free. It's free for those of us that had already participated in one of their other events and purchased like the low mid price offer that they had. And then it was not a upsell or anything. It's just we're gonna do this, which was a blessing. And that's what it seems like they were intending to do, was to be a blessing. And so I said, heck yes, I'm going. So, when I left work, I drove across town, way across town from, where I work to Anaheim. And it was a really good bunch of people. People flew in from all over the country. They had an opportunity to, because it's at Disneyland right across the street from there, they offered packages where if you wanted to, you could make it a vacation too and go to Disney. I don't need to do that. I live right by here. You could stay in the hotel or not. I live close enough to drive and come home, so that's what I did, save some money. And so it doesn't have to. So far, only cost me the cost of parking at the hotel. And I've already seen a whole bunch of value in it. But like, people prayed together for each other, talked about, like, fleshed out some of their ideas, were supportive. And then it was interesting because it was like encouragement, first of all, for some folks who might need help, even, I guess, just believing that they can come up with a God idea that would bear fruit for them, that could, add money, be a viable business that could influence or change their lives. And then there's those of us that we know that to be true. We may already have one or two really good ideas, and we're ready to just focus and follow up and finish. And so I think there's also folks everywhere in between, right? There were people, it was like, let's say if someone said to you, has something bubbled up in your mind that you feel like is a God idea or even a good idea. In this particular case, looking for a God idea, something that's, it's interesting because I would have said bigger than what you could come up with on your own. And in my case, that's true. And so I know it's God ideas, but it was interesting because the host said, well, your God idea doesn't have to be some big, humongous thing. It could be something that is just on your heart to do, that God said, yeah, go do that. For everybody, it's going to look different. It may not be some, oh my goodness, this is a multi-million-dollar or, billion-dollar idea. It could be something that's in your community or something that's in your home, something that just is on your heart. And so it's interesting to see the variety of what people were feeling like was what they were pulled to do. And it's also interesting to watch people actually just give back for the sake of giving back. And I'm sure that's part of why they're so blessed. But like this one woman, they really workshopped with for a while, and she didn't think she had the idea, but then it turned out she actually did. And it was one that she had like over a year ago that she felt like God told her to do. And she sat on it. And so when they were asking, like, did you, come up with something or something on your heart? And she's like, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't think so. But then in kind of like fleshing it out with her and talking with her, it was clear she did have this idea. She knew this is what she was supposed to be doing. And she, for whatever reason, put it off, like put it on the shelf kind of a thing. And so it was like, well, what's the hold up now? Now that you know that this is what you're supposed to do, when are you going to start? And it was one of those like, oh, I've got to work on like my licensure or whatever it was, and I could start on that on Monday. And this host pulled her coat on it and said, well, wait a minute, so you're already licensed like this and you're trying to get some additional thing. Do you have to do that online? And she's like, yeah, I'll have to do it online. He's like, so then why not do it now? You got a computer. They told us bring our laptops, bring whatever. Why can't you open up your computer and start the process today while it's hot with you, while you're ready to go? And it's kind of like, yeah, piss or get off the pot. What are we doing? Are we going after it or are we not? And so I thought that was cool that it was just kind of like, not only, was there the nudge to like, this is what it is, so like, don't sit on it longer and then give yourself an excuse to put it back on the shelf. But this host went far enough to even say, I have an idea for you what you can call it, and look up the domain to purchase it for her, just to give it to her. Like, we're going to help you do this. And I think that's really rare. I think that ultimately it will bear them some more fruit too, right? Because you will get people who believe in you, believe in your integrity, believe in what they've seen you accomplish, and then will want to work with you. And I think that's absolutely going to happen with these folks. I'm sure it's already in the process of happening. And, that may be part of the intention, of course, but at the same time, they really are actually, adding some value and not asking for anything. And so I'm really, really looking forward tomorrow. I really want to see where I go, how far I get with the ideas that I'm working on. I've been really kind of prolific in the last couple of days in terms of thinking in the ways that I want to do this. I really had to laugh because early in the year, the very beginning of the year, I got woken up from a dream, and I have kind of prophetic dreams or premonitions and different things. And in that dream, it said, protect your IP. And I was like, okay, I hear you. I will do that. But I still wasn't sure what the IP was. Now I am. That came to me yesterday. Yesterday or day before. Yesterday. Somewhere in there. Starting to run together. It's been a long week. But anyway, yeah. I'm looking to see, what I can get accomplished tomorrow that will move this down the line. And it's one of those things where you still have to end up being grateful. It was reminders of who you are, reminders of what your purpose is, reminders of whose you are, encouragement to get it going and keep it going. And so many of us need that. There was a period of time where they asked, who already knows or got it during this exercise, what your idea is, come to the front. And so I hopped up because I know what my idea is. And at some point, they asked for all the folks who didn't quite have it yet. They were still sitting in the audience to, send some energy towards us and pray for us for our ideas to go forward and those kinds of things. And then later on in the activation, the folks who didn't think they had an idea, they asked them to come up and ask for us to pray for them that it comes, that they get there. And, if we felt so inclined and if the people felt so inclined, lay a hand on, the person that was nearest to you, with their permission, of course, while praying for them that their moment bubbled up, that they realized what it is, or that whatever was blocking it was removed, however you want to look at it. And it's interesting how so many things are wrapped up in people's personal emotions, personal trauma, history, whatnot. Like, it did feel like for some people, they were unable to focus on being creative or thinking about, what that next forward motion thing would be. It's like they had a block. And, I'm sure it's different things for different people, but it's interesting to watch that and think about, what would it take to help people actually remove that block. And as I've been going through my process this year of expansion, which is one of the words I'm working through this year is expansion, and just being open to a lot of things, open to different modalities, open to different people, open to being coached, and just learning and growing in as many ways as I can. I have been kind of researching a couple of different coaching opportunities or people who are in that space to see who I might want to align myself with and ultimately, pay to coach me. And I didn't yet, not saying I won't, but I almost came close to paying for a higher end offer from one particular coaching group. And honestly, what stopped me, I'm still thinking about it, but I was kind of like, no, I might want to go for it, because one of the things that I want to do is use the help to be able to move farther, faster, versus trying to feel my way through. And I get there, but it takes a little longer because I do it all by myself. I've been doing a lot of things by myself for the last, I don't know how many years. And yeah, I make a lot of progress. I do a lot of good things, but I also know for a fact I could have gone farther, faster with help. And so at this point in this year, fire horse, if that's your thing, whatever, I want acceleration, expansion, all of those things, and I'm willing to pay for it. So, I've been looking at that, and then this popped up for free. And I was like, all right. So I'm going to wait and see how far I get with free 99. Wait and see if there's additional offers that they come up with and I'm so inclined, or if I get enough out of all of the different resources that I've been working on to be able to get where I want to go without that. But I still think I do want to pay for a coach, interestingly. And it's interesting to me because, if you're thinking about coaching yourself, which I am, I think one of the things that people, when you're first starting, you were like, who's going to pay you to do this? Or who's going to take your advice about whatever it is? Even though you have a lot of knowledge, you have a lot of things to share, you have an open heart, you've got all the things, right? You've got integrity, you've got all these things. And so really all the elements are there, but there can still be that little fear or that little bit of being unsure that your audience will find you and that you'll resonate with them. And so you're just kind of like, I'm gonna try. I don't know, but I'm gonna try. But I don't know, but I'm gonna try. And then, I'm at the point where I'm like, I'm gonna try. I'm a trier. I sure do try. And at the same time, I want to do something different and get a different result. And so doing something different for me would involve, going ahead and having a coach. And then it was like, ding, 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 ding. Okay, so if I'm feeling that way, that means other people are too. And somebody, in fact, would pay me to be a coach. So we're going to find out. But, it's just all these little light bulb moments, like you kind of go, oh, I see what you did there. I see what you did there. And, I'm trying to be intentional about my time management. And so, when I'm driving, I'm listening to something. Maybe while I'm doing my homework, I'm listening to something. And just trying to absorb as much information, knowledge, pointers that I can. And it's also interesting. I think it's always interesting to learn a new field and see how various people do the same thing so differently. I think that appeals to me too, like being a nurse. I used to do more travel nursing, and you go to a different hospital and they be doing the same thing but so differently. And you take from each place the good stuff, right? The practices that are better, safer, faster, whatever the case may be, that's beneficial. And you leave the things that you're like, ooh, I don't know about you. I don't know about that. And at that point, the nice thing about traveling is if you land in a place where there's too high of a percentage of the I don't know about that, you don't have to stay. And and you can do some good while you're there and then move along. And it's interesting in a similar way to be at a career crossroads where it's not just, oh, let's find a different hospital, but like, is this what you still really want to do? Because there's all these other things you could do. And look at this thing. Wow, this is cool. Does this feel like you? I think in a way, it's not like a midlife crisis. It's like a midlife pre-check or something. Like take an assessment of where you are, where you thought you'd be, where you'd still like to go. Is it the same as what you thought you wanted to do, or is it completely different? And you can open yourself up to things that you might not have really ever thought about before. As I started my whole health leadership program, my doctoral program, I was not immediately thinking about coaching. And then I saw that there was an opportunity to get a certification in coaching whole health as part of the program. And I thought how awesome that would be to be able to use my current knowledge in healthcare and the things that I'm learning and be able to share it with people in a different way. Maybe not just as patients in the hospital or clinic, but like clients that are looking for a holistic experience, or people in a clinic or a hospital who still need a holistic experience. It could go so many different ways, but just having the knowledge and the ability to be a benefit in that way was exciting. And then, you know, as your thoughts evolve and things become more clear, I was like, you know, I would love to roll that into total wellness. And by the way, I have a financial startup that is about fixing your finances and being well that way. It goes together. Physical, emotional, spiritual wellness, and financial wellness, they go together. And so the ideas that I've been having are how to harness those things, meld them together, let them be complementary to each other, and be able to present it to people in a way that they can receive and in a way that they can be helped. So I'm really, really excited about that. And so even though the day was funky, it was also beautiful. It was also exciting. It was also inspiring. And, you know, all points are pointing towards I'm headed in the right direction. So that's a good feeling. It's Friday. That's also a good feeling. It's payday. Even though you might only be hood rich for like 5 minutes because you got to pay all these bills, it's nice to at least have that happen, right? And I made the most of my evening. Besides all of the activities that were happening in this seminar that I went to when we broke for lunch, I went to a nice restaurant that was attached to the hotel. Hadn't been to Fleming's in a while, so I happened to catch, they have, you know, their version of a happy hour. And so I had some crab cakes and some shrimp. Had, you know, the basketball game was on, sat at the bar, had a lot of space to myself. And I sat there and banged out those last, I don't know, 7 or 8 performance evaluations while some jazz was on, the game was on, the food was good. I had some space to just knock it out and do it while I was still upright. And so, you know, life is good. Life is good. Even when life's not that great, it's still good. And it's still better than it is for somebody else. Always, no matter how bad you think it is, somebody else is dealing with more. And there's always something to be grateful for if you look for it. I think I'm going to stop there, but I would encourage you to keep looking for the thing to be grateful for, even if you had a funky day. And listen for what those God ideas are and then act on them, because that could be your multi-million-dollar thing that it will help you, obviously. But I'm sure the reason why that idea was downloaded to you is because you have the capacity to help a lot of people. And that feels good too. That feels like purpose. So let's do it. Let's do it together. Let me know what you're working on, and I'll keep you posted as I work on mine, and we can support each other through it. Yeah? I love it. Okay. Let's breathe. Whew. Yeah, man. Yeah. My bare feet on the ground. That's grounding. Let that oxygen circulate to your brain. Feel the warmth in your heart. And let's keep it going. Let's keep talking. Let's keep working through it together. We all need support. I know I do. And I want to be a support for you too, so let's do it. Subscribe, like, tell somebody. Let's go. And add some beauty to your life. All right. I'll see you tomorrow.